Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. My name is April L. Nagdi, and I'm proud to be opening CHENEGA MIOS' session, Delivering Cyber Solutions to Meet DoD and White House Expectations. CHENEGA MIOS is CHENEGA Corporation's Military Intelligence and Operations Support Strategic Business Unit. As a strategic business unit, we provide back-end operations to 20 small businesses that are wholly owned by CHENEGA Corporation and operate as Alaska Native Village-owned entities. The companies under the MIOS umbrella have been supporting the federal government and Department of Defense for over 20 years and have services ranging from IT and cybersecurity to records and facility management and many more, with almost half our portfolio being focused on technology-related areas. As many of you are aware, on May 12, 2021, President Biden signed Executive Order 14028, improving the nation's cybersecurity, with the following common themes: report and share, modernize and standardize, detect and respond, and investigate and learn. In a recent article from the Forbes Technology Council, author Maran Kanagaval pinpoints 3 components of this executive order that differentiates it from 1996's Critical Infrastructure Protection and 2017's Strengthening the Cybersecurity of Federal Networks and Critical Infrastructure. This executive order will apply the latest data encryption standards and has timelines driving action, as well as moves compliance center stage. According to Kanagaval, this executive order lays out clear directions on where the United States would like to improve and how outside companies can help get it there. Here today to discuss how CHENEGA MIOS and its companies and contracting professionals are meeting the challenge are CHENEGA Technical Innovations President Heather LaCroix and CHENEGA MIOS VP of Contracts Sandy Levy. Heather is a proud U.S. Army veteran with 20 years in government contracting experience, as well as in expertise in organizational and operational efficiency. And Sandy has a legal background as an attorney, as well as 35 years of government and commercial contracting experience. She's also a dedicated NCMA member and is committed to researching and staying ahead of legal and regulatory changes. Thank you both for being here, and I will pass it over to Heather to get us started.
Thanks so much, April. So just like all industry partners out there right now, and in the government as well, when it comes to any type of solutioning, but specifically in cyber solutions, we're feeling the heat of recruiting. The job market is hot and it's really competitive. So we're seeing difficulties and challenges that surround, how we actually provide the solutions, not so much in knowing what the solutions are or what has to be provided, but in ensuring that we are able to recruit and retain and keep the staff that are that should be providing those solutions in order to provide them to our customers. With an increased competition coming from the commercial sector, what is driving for CHENEGA is really looking at how we're compensating and how we're, the benefits packages that we're providing. So just as a benchmark, cyber is the #1 employer top skill sought right now across the entire job market, not just the federal space. Additionally, within the federal space, the #1 growing skill set is cyber, by almost 37% or 3,700% increase just over the last 6 months or so. The #1 search criteria we're getting from all candidates is actually remote work, and they have a significantly higher compensation requirement than what we're used to from pre-pandemic. As we look at this, we try to figure out what ways can we do this. So when we're going after our competitive bids, we are really focusing on how we recruit and retain, to explain that, to demonstrate that we can provide the solutions that we are claiming that we can, in a way that will keep the staff that we hire current, so providing them training. How are we keeping them in a proactive stance when the threat landscape that cyber presents to us is going to be constantly changing? We always want them to be ready and engaged. Another part of what we find valuable to our customers across the Army, Air Force, and the Navy, as well as in the civilian sector of the federal space, is how we're managing change management, not just for our own internal contracting staff, but other contractors that support that customer, as well as the government employees themselves. Sometimes not everyone has that initial mindset based off of their job. Maybe they're a scientist, maybe they are an attorney, depends on what agency you're looking at, but they typically have very niched capabilities and skill sets. So cyber may not not be on the forefront of their mind when it comes to their own technical skills, but we are engaging them with strategic communications and applying new and modern ways to keep them, current on what's going on. So those things might include activities such as gamification, making it a little bit more fun, ensuring that they respond to it. One of the greatest things that we can look at now is when it comes to being able to secure incumbents even, as well as providing new staff, is that we are in a state of like constant recruiting to ensure that we always have a bench of capabilities. So during what we go through with our sole source process, it provides the most transparent way for us to communicate with our customers through alpha negotiations. During the alpha negotiation process, CHENEGA is able to really dissect and be extremely open to showing the government, making sure we all agree on the statement of work, what the requirements are, timelines, and we can address risks at a level. And right now, that market has recruiting and keeping staff on board and hiring them as a high risk. So what that involves is really laying out what price realism is. What is it going to take to get these staff members to come on board and to stay? And the government gets to be exposed to those aspects that are part of that. As you can see, when I bring up like remote work and compensation requirements, what's also interesting is just being able to get in touch with cyber folks. So what we found over the last couple of months, it's actually really difficult. Cyber folks are very cautious in regards to how many people are reaching out to them, who do they respond to. And so we've really taken it up a notch when it comes to our recruiting capability. We brought on a lot of new tools, a lot of emerging technologies. We've incorporated artificial intelligence, all to ensure that we are continuously collecting the best candidates to get the job done. And we're prepared if we do have to make a replacement on that. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sandy Levy to talk about what we're doing in regards to contracts.
Okay, so what I'm going to go over now is just sort of some of the basic FAR and DFAR clauses associated with the cybersecurity requirements. FAR 52-204-21, the basic safeguarding of covered contractor information systems and safeguarding the requirement procedures. As well as DFAR's 252-204-7021, which is the cybersecurity maturity model certification requirements, and 204-73, which is the safeguarding covered defense information and cybersecurity reporting. So to start with the DFARs, I'll start in reverse. So the CMMC cybersecurity maturity model certification requirements, it's a framework measuring a contractor cybersecurity maturity, including practices and institutionalized processes. The requirements under that DFAR is that the contractor must have a current, no older than 3 years CMMC certificate at the CMMC level required by the prime contract, and that's key. So it's critical that you look at your contract to see if any of these requirements are flowed down, and specifically what that level is going to be required of you to maintain. And you have to maintain such certificate at the required level for the duration of the entire contract term, regardless of what the POP might say. It's the entire term, meaning base year and any option years out. In both these DFARs and FAR clauses, they must be flowed down to subcontractors as well. They must comply with the same level of requirements as a prime contractor. For the DFARs 252-204-73, which is the safeguarding covered defense information and cyber incident reporting, that scope requires all contractors and subcontractors to safeguard covered defense information residing or transmitting through contractor information systems, applying specific network security requirements. And the policy behind that is, both contractors and subcontractors must provide adequate security on all covered contractor information systems. They must implement NIST SP 871 per DFARS 252-704-7012. And contractors and subcontractors are required to rapidly report cyber incidents directly to the DoD, and there's a link available for that. For the FAR, however, the FAR is the 52-204-21. It's the basic safeguarding of covered contractor information systems, and there's a full list of requirements under that FAR. I won't go over it in detail, but you can certainly refer to it yourself. But some of the key things to keep in mind is limiting information system access to authorized users, limiting information systems to the types of transactions and functions that our authorized users are permitted to execute. So obviously keeping a tight hold on what users can access and what they can do to transact. Sanitizing or destroying information system media containing federal contract information, limiting physical access to organizational information systems, equipments, and respective operating environments to authorized individuals, escorting visitors and monitoring visitor activity within your building, making sure that any documentation that could be considered controlled unclassified information are in a secure place. And then, you know, just a few other things, upgrading malicious code protection mechanisms when new releases are available. I'm sure all of you have experienced that those times when you get upgrades pushed out to you by your IT group. You might be in the middle of something, and so you need to save, make sure that you apply those updates as soon as you possibly can. And again, all of these must be flowed down to subcontractors as well. And just bear in mind, under the FAR, under other requirements, this particular clause does not relieve the contractor of any other specific safeguarding requirements specified by federal agencies. So again, take a close look at your contract, see what is flowed down within that contract. And then just to kind of talk over some compliance steps that we follow. So some of the things that we do is the multi-factor authentication to network systems. We deploy a commercial product called WinZip to allow for password protection. We disable all USB ports for write access, for example. Notices on SharePoint sites that we house all of our contracts. They contain a CUI data set at the root level of the folder. We actually get notices before you enter the site that says you are entering into a controlled unclassified information site. By clicking OK, you are aware of this, and we'll take all measures per our policies to protect that information. Removing or having local admin privileges removed for all users and permitting only for personnel who have taken security awareness training. Things of that nature to help us comply.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Heather and Sandy, those were great insights. We thank you so much for your time today. At this point, I'd like to open the floor to any questions we may have.